Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's been a couple of weeks since we last checked out the Gibson demo shop. What have we missed? I suppose first we should go through what is currently available at the time of recording. I'm seeing kind of a few good deals that I'm surprised are still here. This 50 standards, they're $2,500 brand new, so $1,900. I'm surprised this is still here. I mean, it's got kind of a weak flame top, so maybe somebody wants something a little bit more crazy, but sometimes a mild top is advantageous to some people because they want it to look more like an original 50s burst. I mean, this isn't a historic guitar by any means. Maybe there's some stuff wrong with it. Looks like somebody engraved their initials in it. Is that an R or a P and a T? Okay. We got a couple of scratches. I would say that's a deal. And oh, wow. This is one of those new deluxe. That is a fantastic plain top. I love that. I don't think I've ever seen so many rings on a guitar. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess you could like 4.5, 5-ish. That is nice. But this one just was likely marked as a demo because it's got some scratches. Yeah, right there, some scratches. Ooh. It looks like the entire nut has been replaced on that one because normally the brand new ones have a little bit of a lacquer line right here. So that might have happened when they had to swap the nut out. Maybe there was something wrong with the initial set. But since this is a new model for this year, you can check out my review and demo if you want. I actually really enjoyed the new deluxe, but it is $400 off. So you gotta decide, is it worth it or not? In my opinion, because of this wood grainage, yes, that one's worth it. Got a nice deal on a lefty here. Kind of a cool bangle burst custom shop. Let's take a quick look at that. I've had a few people message me about this finish. Like they say they have pre-existing orders and they're just waiting for theirs to come in. That's kind of a cool finish on a Les Paul Custom. It looks like they even did something kind of special. Oh, nice. I love Les Paul Accesses. I think they are fantastic guitars. I don't prefer the ones with the Floyd Rose though. I like the stop bar variety because then it's just like a regular Les Paul except for you have the all access heel carve, which is so silky smooth and great to get all the frets to, and you get a little bit of a belly cut down here. I think they're also slightly slimmer. And hey, Apex head carve, it looks a little bit goofy, but I like them. They're cool. But it looks like they've modified this one even further. They've given it a brass truss rod cover. They mixed the gold and black mounting hardware here, gave it the black tuner tips. That really works well for this bangle burst. I mean, you get a little bit of a ding right here. I wonder if that happened when they were soldering it. But the whole black and gold matches perfectly with this top. For a custom shop guitar, that's not bad. But now we're going to start to move into the more interesting ones. So this thing right here, this is kind of what I've been looking for my review piece of this guitar. I love it when they have all this figuring in it. It's kind of like a sapele wood. But I've really been hoping to find one that has this and a ridiculously flamed maple neck. Like sometimes you can find. It's not a spec you're supposed to find. But this one was so close because you can tell it has a little bit of figuring in the neck as well. It's only $100 off from brand new, but I am surprised this has lasted over a week. I have similar feelings on this Glacier Blue 335 figured. I thought for sure somebody would snap this thing up. I like that color. It's got some nice flame. You can get a little bit of mineral streaks if you like that kind of stuff. It's just a cool looking guitar, especially with the cream pickguard right there. But it's one of those things where people question, why is the neck a completely different color? It's the exact same color. It's just the maple on the back is a lighter colored wood, so it appears lighter on here. And then when that same finish is applied onto the mahogany, it just looks like a dark green because you're mixing in the brown color. You'll find that on like the Les Paul Futuras as well. I think those are what, 2013, 2014? But now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of this episode. Check this thing out. They call it a 6159 fat-necked limited edition TV yellow custom shop modified SG. Okay, so as far as modifications, it looks like they took the pickup covers off and just gave it like the edge covered ones. Looks like maybe they swapped this out to a black chrome hardware and you get the knurled knobs. I'm not a big fan of knurled knobs on SGs and Les Pauls. Like it works okay on a Telecaster and whatnot, but I'm just so used to seeing the larger like speed knobs or the bonnet style. But this thing kind of has a cool vibe to it. And the vibe this thing gives me is a late 80s SG. Because take a look at that headstock. It reminds me so much of this SG 90 double I owned once. The whole yellow agedness of the headstock lacquer. You can kind of see what I'm talking about when you switch back and forth between them. It's just so cool. And I think the reason why this stands out so much is because all the rest of the hardware has kind of been black chromed out. So it just kind of disappears, and that allows it just to come forth. This has a very spooky Halloween theme. If they only would have did like a TV orange finish on this, that would be the sweetest guitar ever. It'd be totally Halloween-y vibes. But that's a custom shop piece at $4,200. It's not a steal, but it's not necessarily overpaying either, I don't think. But that one has lasted 3 days. But now let's see what has sold and gone in the past 2 weeks. Unfortunately, I've been off my game. I haven't been on the page right when they refresh. I've been like 3 or 4 hours late. So 2 weeks ago, pretty much nothing crazy got listed. There was this very nice deal on a Purple Burst 235 figured at $189.99. Even I would have purchased that. That's a $2,500 guitar easily. Well, if it was actually figured like the name implied. I don't see any figuring in this one, so maybe it looks better in person, I'm not sure. But maybe that's also why this one was held back, because it was supposed to be a figured and it did not get it. So it's like the finish was applied on the wrong guitar. But still, at $18.99, that is still a fair price for a 235 in a finish like that. I mean, you can see other examples right here. Like the 34 Burst will sell for a huge premium. You can check that out in this video here. But just the regular basic colors sell for that and more. And then as far as a unique finish that time, there was this one. This reminds me of some like guy that had facial hair and like a bald head. Because I'm guessing this was not accepted out of the factory because somebody messed the finish up. Because normally this would be like a rim burst, right? But it's like they did a reverse fade finish, where instead of having the outline right here and then it kind of fades out into nothing at the bottom, they did it at the top. Because they also played with the pickup rings. That looks like kind of a copper metallic color. It matches really well with the golden bonnet knobs. And the black pickguard kind of helps enunciate this whole finish right here. It's one of those guitars I would ironically rock because, you know, it's just kind of cool. The only thing that would make it better is if it had like a flamed maple neck on it. But as far as everything else, it was just a regular studio. Oh, wow. From 2021? Were they experimenting with this thing and just decided, no, we don't want to do that? Well, it sold for $1,200. I think that's, what, $300 off retail? Oh, and just some background information when I interviewed the guy that runs this whole division. He says these strange colored rings came from the custom shop. He didn't know where or why they got them. It could have just been a sample at one point in time, but they're like, hey, we're not using this. Do you want it? So that's the story on those as far as I'm aware. Next up, there were a couple of stellar deals on these 70s Explorers. $14.99. It's hard enough to even find one of these in stock, let alone getting $500 off on one. There was one that week, and then this week they also listed another one. So keep your eyes out if you've been looking for one of those for a deal. I mean, you can't beat that for $1,500. Even on the used market, those things still bring like 18 plus. There's even a Silverburst Les Paul custom shop. At $4,500, that was fair if you wanted a newer one. And there was also one of the Explorer custom shops as well. But the last three that we have to talk about are right here. Well, I lied. There's one more. The cheeky demo shop selling a CME exclusive here for brand new retail price. Basically, all they did was change the tuners. There must have been some scratches or like, yeah, it was right here. It like bled through the finish or something. And they swapped out the pick guard to a natural one. So if you didn't like the CME exclusive tortoiseshell guard, here's one that was more natural. And I've got to say, that looks great. But there was no discount on that guitar.
I can't say I'd blame them though.
But as far as exclusive paint this time, this one was actually 2 weeks ago. I had to go back and find it. They called this Copper Sparkle. I wasn't a big fan of this one. I kind of liked the burst job that they did better last time, but if you like this color, you'll like a sparkly type of guitar. This was a unique Les Paul special. So these things are $15.99 brand new. So how much did they end up selling this refinished one for in the demo shop that had a few little scratches on it? I was surprised at that one, $2,200. This thing sold like nearly instantaneously as well. And then this one, despite being the custom paint that's supposed to make it unique, I like the name the best. They called it Grape Soda. Essentially what they did is they took like a faded SG that was normally like a worn brown color, and they refinished it a light purple. I really like this blending of the brown with the purple. Kind of reminds me of like root beer and a grape soda going together. The colors, they work, but in the end of the day, it looks like they just really restained this guitar. It's not like a full-on gloss refinish or anything. $16.99. It sold fast, but what caught my attention is actually the neck pickup that they put in here. There's no pole pieces on it. So I'm curious, what is that? Interesting. Burst bucker and an MHS humbucker. What? That's what they would put in the ES LPs, so they must have like a stockpile of those. I know there's a lot of people that like those pickups, so that was an interesting choice. I could see some premium being put into those pickups, but it looks like they're definitely playing around with that no pole piece look. I'm all for that. And then there was this weird thing. I wasn't a big fan of it, but it was $300 off. Essentially, they just installed a trapeze tailpiece on here, swapped a pickup, maybe even some of the plastics. They got these really tiny knobs. I think what throws this one off for me is the tiny knobs, because it just looks like you've got tiny knobs right here, but all those are doing is capping off the tailpiece. I think this one would have looked better in pure gold hardware instead of being blacked out, but they're probably just trying to use up all their blacked out hardware specs. But I guess at the same time, now that we got the full body shot, the black hardware matches the black headstock, so yeah, it's alright. Not my favorite one out of the mod shop, but notable nonetheless. And our last one is this. This guitar gives me Buckethead vibes, because you know Buckethead likes his basketball. He's a big fan of Michael Jordan. So when I think of Buckethead, I think things like red, white, blue. I think they were trying to be patriotic here, but it just kind of gave me those vibes. But I'm wondering if they painted these knobs or if they just happened to have them in those colors, because that white one looks fantastic. And it also appears they went for the rose gold treatment on this one. So you get the chrome studs and bridge, but the gold thumb wheels and tailpiece. It looks like they also did that with the switch tip right here. For a second, I thought, did they put a kill switch in that? No, that's just the toggle switch right there. But what makes this particular one even fancier is the fact that this is one of those Japan exclusive ones. It's like a true 70s style Flying V. It's what the 70s Flying V should have done if they weren't trying to emulate the modifications of the 70s. So it's got the slightly more accurate looking headstock. You can see they rose gold out the headstock tuners as well. Gold nut, silver washers, gold tips, silver bodies. But this has, you know, a very traditional looking volute for the reissue style ones anyways. So this thing was quite fascinating to me. It looks like the finish kind of chipped right here, and that's the initial reason why it made its way to the demo shop. And you get a little bit of finish checking here. That's nothing nefarious. That's just the outline of the nut. But that is a 2015 guitar. That's just kind of sat around for 7 years before finding a final home. And that was listed at $1,699. And it sold. So that is your recap of the Gibson demo shop over the past 2 weeks. Not quite as exciting as 3 and 4 weeks ago, but hey, also in my interview, I learned that the demo shop guys actually have no control over what comes out each week. They actually send all the photos off to a different company. I think he said in like California, and they decide what goes out. They try to give you a nice blending of like custom shop offerings, the slightly more budget-friendly ones, and the mid-tiers. That way it's not all custom shops this week or all custom paint jobs. You never know what's gonna show up. So we'll see what the next week or two brings us. If there's anything super fantastic, I'll have to make a video sooner. Otherwise, I like checking up on these every week or two. I'm not sponsored to tell you guys about these, but hey, I just like the demo shop. It's fun. You never know what you'll find. But as always, if you do want to support the show, you can use my affiliate links in the description to take you to the Gibson demo shop, and anything you buy on Reverb, I may get a small commission for. Alright, troglodytes, thank you for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.